into a brand new wave, drowning out the noise that's tame. Liberty whispers through the brave, breaking free from every chain. Nullify the rules they crave, crypto beats that pave the way. Anarchy with minds that's safe, algorithms new dawn the day. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy ride. Beyond control we take a stand, casting off the iron brand. Freedom flowing through our hands, revolution's our command. Decentralize the way we plan, all together we expand. Breaking shackles for the clan, in this journey we're on pan. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy ride.
Good morning, or I should say good evening, for Monday, March 17th. Happy Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all you Irish laddies. I hope you get drunk as fuck on a Monday, because that is what St. Patrick's Day is all about. Who cares if you had to work earlier in the morning, and who cares if you got to work on Tuesday? Fuck wage cuckery. Get drunk, enjoy yourselves, and listen to the Legacy Right and the Legacy News half hour or so. But I am the legacy of Jennifer and Kaiser. I'm Zachary Kaiser. This is Legacy News episode 43. And I just want to say, man, is everything just one big PsyOp as it scrolls down at the ticker on the bottom of the screen? Because we're about to get down and dirty and discuss why all these fires happen to be occurring, especially this year. Out west, Oklahoma now, the cycle of storms that are just getting more and more vicious. Is this all a HAARP conspiracy? Is HAARP really in overdrive? We already know that HAARP is a program that studies both stratospheric and ionospheric pressure in our atmosphere. It's studying the weather, everybody, in layman's terms. And maybe it's doing much more than just studying the weather up there with the University of Alaska, Anchorage, I believe, and the United States Air Force. But with that, I'd like to introduce you to the man of the hour, or the half hour or so.
No,
Anthony
I'm not ready.
So, how are you doing today? How are you doing
Not
this
bad.
Sunday,
I
realistically, Sunday morning?
I found it. It was just right in the next room. I just didn't realize it.
You finally found what you were talking about on our recent episode of the Legacy Right.
I was looking for it in my bookshelf, and now it's with it right back there. Here you go.
So, yes. Speaking of that, that's Jeff Dice's book from, I believe that came out a couple years ago, A Strange Liberty. Definitely a must read. Very good, concise perspective into the mind of a truly
diversified interpretation of what liberty is.
Well, I was talking about him, but truly an admirable and intellectual perspective. for a man that's just very unique in his ideas. So the former, what do they call him up there? The CEO. Anyways, head of Mises Institute. Now, obviously not. But yeah, I would go read it.
Former president of the Mises
President.
Institute.
President, CEO, whatever. Leader, dear leader.
What are you, Elon Musk?
Maybe I am. Speaking of Elon, I mean, honestly, and speaking of PsyOps, and the video that I have, another one from Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. Doug at it again with this conspiracy rhetoric. God, I love that man. He's a crazy old son of a gun. He'll mention it, but the fact of the matter is what do you think is going on with Doge, the Trump presidency? Do you think that it's just a psyop to make people perceive that they have saviors in the realm of what is already in plan to basically, is it psychological? Is it another segment of an operation towards psychological manipulation and misappropriation, if we really want to go to it?
I mean, possibly. I'm not seeing the video, so I couldn't really, get any two comments yet. So,
you want to dive into the video and discuss after we're done?
Sure.
Let us dive in to another one, everybody. And here we go.
We are on a plan, and it is being executed every single day. And Trump, I'm afraid, is not going to save us. Okay? So you have to stay vigilant and keep your head in the game.
The John Birch Society considers communism only one arm of a master conspiracy in which socialist American insiders are plotting to establish world government. Now, it also says, and here's Director John McManus, that's your public relations director, saying that former Secretary of State Alexander Haig and CIA Director William Casey are two of these master conspirators who are plotting to establish world government. Now, what do you say? That kind of silly, asinine statement is what makes people laugh at the John Birch Society.
Well, Tom, I'm sure being a long-standing member of the Rockefeller apparatus, and as a member of the Council on Foreign Relations of longstanding, you're fully aware that there is an elitist core in this country that has seen value in subsidizing communism, of protecting communism.
It has?
Sure.
You're accusing me of subsidizing communism?
No, I'm saying
because I happen to belong to
there is an elite core.
Study group?
Wait a minute. There is an elite core in this country that has dominated American society.
Well, I'm not one of them.
Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations. Well, let's face it, they've dominated the State Department for 40 years, and pretty much openly.
All right, but what are they trying to do?
Well, their objective is to try to bring about a gradual transition in our society, a dissolving of sovereignty, and a moving steadily to the left on the political spectrum.
Well, who are they?
The elitist groups that I mentioned, particularly key individuals and policymakers in the Council.
Is the International Monetary Fund part of it?
Well, I would say the International Monetary Fund has certainly been set up for the purpose of facilitating that transfer of sovereignty and transfer of wealth on the road.
Right, we elected Mr. Conservative.
Let me just finish the point, because otherwise we're going to have a lot of unanswered questions. That you are looking at a group that has worked to bring about the dissolution of national sovereignty on the road to world government. And certainly you're familiar with the local professor Carol Quigley, who has been part of your club, in which he admitted all this. And he said in his book, Tragedy and Hope, the only thing I disagree is that we've worked to keep it a secret.
All right, hope you guys are doing okay out there. We had the big storms roll through the Midwest last night. Fires broke out in Oklahoma. I'm going to try to explain to you why these fires are not random. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll get a better understanding on where we're going. And man, are we getting there fast. It's getting faster and faster. I explained to you guys that 2025 was going to be very fast with a lot of stuff going on. That's the only way they can move the needle, is to constantly bombard us every single day. And we don't have time to process it. Okay, so my videos are to try to help you process this information. And so you can share the information so maybe people can kind of get, that we are on a plan And it is being executed every single day. And Trump, I'm afraid, is not going to save us. Okay. So you have to stay vigilant and keep your head in the game. And by the way, Larry McDonald died in a mysterious plane crash right after that interview in 1983. Here's the video clip I'm showing you guys right now of some of the fires that broke out in Oklahoma by Stillwater. And if you guys didn't know that Google announced that it was going to set a data center in Stillwater, you could probably Google that information.
According to Coco, Stillwater, Oklahoma, Google has acquired land at the intersection of Perkins and Richmond Roads for the future development of a data center campus, according to a news release. The area was zoned for industrial use, and city officials told Coco 5 in October that there could be 6 phases for 6 data centers.
Also, what they're doing with all this chaos is they're taking the data that they're getting from it, like the fires, right? How we're evacuating, how we respond, who stays, who goes, and they're feeding that into their AI. So that way, when the systems want to move more people, they'll have a better understanding on how we act and react. Talked about this in a couple of other videos before. There's several people out there on the internet that are watching the radars very closely anytime we have approaching storms, and we're also watching the skies with the sprays. And if you guys are paying close attention, you're going to notice a correlation between the sprays in the skies and the bad weather that you're getting. You're either getting heavily sprayed before or after each event. Please start paying attention to that. Here I'm going to show you guys a video capture of pulses that are being put out by radar stations and HAARP. Okay, all those little blue circles that you see being exploded on, those are all radar pulses. See the green lines going through the air? Those are also emitting radar pulses, and it's a belief that that is actually helping control the bad weather. It's actually making it supercharged, so the weather is very high-end, unpredictable, and high-end damaging. I know many people watch the videos and they're like, oh my gosh, Doug, this is just too much. Why? The government would never do this to us. They would never intentionally poison us or burn us or put chemicals in our food or bodies that are actually going to kill us or unalive us. I got to be careful what I say. But here,
I just want to say they're putting chemicals in the water that are turning the fucking frogs gay.
here's a clip from station KSDK in St. Louis, Channel 5, the place I...
What was that, Andrew?
I said, yeah, you know it, man.
grew up, actually back in the day, reporting on what the government is doing to the citizens.
This next story is so unbelievable, we didn't think it could possibly be true. But after receiving thousands of records and declassified reports from the Army, it's confirmed that during the Cold War, the United States military conducted secret tests on unsuspecting people in the city of St. Louis. A local sociologist will make her findings public tomorrow, but she spoke first to the I-Team's Lisa Zigman.
Lisa Martino-Taylor's life work has been to uncover details of the Army's ultra-secret military experiments carried out in St. Louis and other cities during the 1950s and 60s.
This study was secretive for a reason. They didn't have volunteers stepping up and saying, yeah, I'll breathe zinc cadmium sulfide with radioactive particles.
These Army archive pictures show how the tests were done in Corpus Christi, Texas in the 1960s. In Texas, planes were used to drop the chemical, but in St. Louis, the Army placed chemical sprayers on buildings and station wagons. City officials were kept in the dark about the tests. The Cold War cover story was that the Army was testing smoke screens to protect cities from a Russian attack. The truth, according to Martino-Taylor, was much more sinister.
It's pretty shocking. The level of duplicity and secrecy. Clearly, they went to great lengths to deceive people.
By making hundreds of Freedom of Information Act requests, she uncovered once classified documents that confirmed the spraying of zinc cadmium sulfide. The greatest concentration of this compound was sprayed near the Pruitt-Igoe housing complex just south of downtown St. Louis. It was home to 10,000 low-income people, and an estimated 70% were under the age of 12.
I know it's hard to wrap your head around to think that they're actually out to do this to us intentionally, okay? Intentionally. I know that's so hard to wrap your head around, but that's why they're making everything look like these natural events, and that's just what's going on. And oh, it's just so terrible. And to this day, by the way, for the record, no one's repairing anything in California. Maui is still sitting there pretty much, and nothing's going on in North Carolina. South Carolina has broken out with a bunch of fires now as well, which is also slated to be a 15-minute city there around that area. Here's another news clip of them talking about Ohio becoming a 15-minute city.
Mayor Pitt introduced the idea of being the first 15-minute city in the United States. He did this in his State of the City address last night.
The urban planning model is new, but city planners told our Sarah Shookman the time is now to tap into federal dollars to address some of Cleveland's deeper problems.
Imagine a Cleveland where everything you need is less than 15 minutes away.
It's this ideal planning framework where human needs and desires are accessible within a 15-minute walk, bicycle ride, or transit trip. And that's really what we're striving for in this new planning model.
City planner Matt Moss says it doesn't have to be a dream. Instead of a concrete jungle where people work and separate places where people live, in a 15-minute city, everything is closer.
And it's starting out with the city we have now, and then asking residents how they might want their community to grow or change in ways that, again, make things more accessible or provide them with more opportunities to access the things they want to get to in their day-to-day life.
And now I'm going to play for you guys a clip of another gentleman who's talking about the 15-minute cities, and they've rebranded them to the C40, okay? And he's going to talk to you guys a little bit about this plan. I'm not making this stuff up. They are openly talking about it all the time.
The 15-minute cities is something that the WEF has created called C40, and it's called C40 cities. I would urge you to certainly look on the internet about it, and then go to all of the TikTokers and see what they're really saying. Basically, you won't be able to drive a petrol or diesel car anymore. You'll have to buy electric. If you want food, you will get a calorie-controlled system sent to you by text saying, this is what you can eat today. This is what you can have today. If you violate any of these things, they'll freeze your bank account. That is the next step. These are stages in which they're going to implement this stuff. And this was signed up by the WEF, and the WEF has signed up with our mayor in London as the chair. And he has gone around the world to communicate this C40 to all of the countries in the world. And most of the countries are looking at adopting it. Now, I am going to abolish it. It is a hopeless position. We are going to be in an open prison, or shall we say a COVID, for the rest of our lives. We will not be able to work unless it's in our 15-minute city. It's diabolical. It's not this is not the right thing. And it's been hidden from the public. No one's talking about it.
I just don't want you guys to put your guard down, right? I don't want you to think Trump and Junior and these people, Kash Patel and all these people, they're going to save you, because that's part of the psychology, right? The psychological warfare that we're in is that they want you to be complacent, thinking that they're taking care of everything. Meanwhile, the plan is marching full steam ahead. I'm going to leave you guys right now with this clip of a farmer who explains a 15-minute city very well. I mean, I couldn't even have done it better myself. So you guys enjoy this. Keep up on your preps. Don't let your guard down. Share this video with your friends so they can kind of understand that the fires that we're seeing, they're not random. Why do all the fires happen to be in cities that are slated for the 15-minute program? And by the way, we've tried 15-minute cities before. They were called projects. Okay, and they did not end so well. All right, but here's that clip of the farmer. Share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys on the next video. And if you guys got the email, I'll see you guys tomorrow at noon at our special meetup location. All right, man, stay vigilant out there. Things are getting pretty wild and fast, very fast.
What is a 15-minute city? So come on in, let me show you what a 15-minute community looks like.
Well, I'm excited to see this, Randy, because you always break things down into nice practical ways, right?
Here we go. These residents of the 15-minute community, they're not locked in, but they just stay there. They're free to come and go, but they don't. So let's take a step inside. Everything they need in their life is right here in their 15-minute community. A water bowl, a feed tray. They own nothing, but they are exceptionally happy. And you know how happy they are is by how many eggs they produce. And it's so wonderful because I get to take everything that they produce, and they just keep producing. So let me go in here. And here we go. Each of them have their own house. Now, in a 15-minute community, you don't get a lot of variation in housing. They're all pretty much the same. But we can take a look and collect their production. There's a few. There's a few more. And there we go.
And they're none the wiser.
And they're happy.
Yeah.
I get to take what they produce. They're free to come and go, but the world is so scary for them out there. They will never leave. I don't have to put a fence around them. And here we are.
It's an ideal world. I don't see anything wrong with it. Everything is provided for them. They're cared for. They're happy. They're together.
Yeah.
It's all convenient.
What? So anybody who wants to understand what a 15-minute community is, here you go. And there's only one boss. And that boss provides everything for them.
Yep.
Sounds about right, right?
Well, that video they're talking about them doing the spray in the air and everything. It reminded me of this book right here, the Plutonium Files, where they were feeding kids. The army was using, I think it was not Kellogg's, Quaker. They were
Oats.
using, Quaker Oats. They were feeding kids irradiated oatmeal as an experiment to see how their bodies would react. And they never told them. And it wasn't until like years later that they found out about it. And there was like this huge lawsuit and this huge scandal. And that you can't even get that book anymore. It's out of print.
So, it's out of print, and
I paid $100 for that copy.
Yeah. Well, it's out of print, and they don't want it to be reprinted. So because it's a tell-all. Because I know exactly what you're talking about. From that experiment is very notable, and I think the idea around it was to observe the reactions, the bodily reactions, and the psychological and emotional reactions of the kids, because at the time we were just entering the nuclear age. You had the Cold War and all that, so they used the auspice of what would happen if everything was eradicated because we went into a nuclear war with Russia and everything was wiped out. And obviously there's more to it. So I would suggest getting that book, everybody, and reading that tell-all.
If you can get a copy.
Yeah, if you can get a copy. I'd imagine you probably could find a copy. Just go check out your local bookstores. You can probably find it. What is that site? There's a open source.
Bigwords.com. That's where you can cross-reference like ISBN numbers and everything, and get the cheapest price. But that's not what you were talking about.
Yeah, you could also look at maybe do a search for it on LibGen. What is it? .org or I forget what the ending of it, but LibGen. You could that's basically just a library of just different books that you can find. Maybe I would just do a search for it and see if you can find it, because it's definitely a tell-all. And if you can find it in your local bookstore, just be prepared that you're probably gonna spend some money on it. So, but it generally, going off of that concept, and other studies that have been done by our own lovely government and our military apparatus, our military industrial apparatus, such as the Tuskegee experiment. That's another one that people should be aforementioned about. Is the U.S., and this actually goes with the whole world, really, specifically the West, but is the U.S. just one big, gigantic Nazi psychological experiment? I only say Nazi because basically I think the Nazis were the original, like Nazi Germany was the original psychological experiment of the 20th century.
Well, I mean, I'd say, well, what I was thinking of from that video is he's talking about, they said you have all these people that are coming in playing the savior role, and really what they're doing is they give them so much leeway to clean up, but they've already got decades worth of plans in production. Because if you're a big company like Sony, you're thinking about 100 years in advance. So the government, they have a streamlined, long-term strategic goal that they're trying to reach, and they build out decades and decades and decades ahead of time, so that they can reach those goals, those funding to get the funding they need, and whatever that they have planned behind the scenes, they're just going to operate that. And they'll give you the stuff that Trump is trying to clean up right now, as just to get you off their heels.
I mean,
make you
definitely
satisfied.
cleaning up. Yeah, definitely cleaning up. I will push back. You're referring to the bureaucracy apparatus of government. They think more long-term strategy in a short-term world, considering we have political figures, elected political figures, politicians who see the scope of everything on a short-term basis, because we're $36 trillion in debt, about to go even further in the debt, even more. Interest is just skyrocketing because we're never going to pay off that debt. And it's just a constant kick the can measure. Like just recently over the weekend, late last week, Congress passed the continual resolution of the Biden spending. What's the word I'm looking for? But anyways, the Biden spending operation from September.
Omnibus.
Yeah.
The omnibus spending bill.
Yeah, the omnibus spending bill that got, once again, kicked the can down. That was September of 2024, I believe. We're now in March of 2025. You have all this cutting of fraud and waste from Doge, and yet you're going to continue
to fund all the things that you cut.
Yeah, you're going to continue the same spending as your predecessor. So what was the cutting for?
Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I'm just saying that if you're thinking in the world of 4D chess, okay, they made the big stink about Thomas Massey's the only one that stood up and said no, and the Democrats said, we're not gonna fund the government. And, okay, we'll play ball. It gets to President Trump's desk, and then he says, this isn't really too efficient. I think we're just gonna shut down the government and go line by line. That would be the 4D chess move. Yeah. I'm just saying that would. I didn't know that. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, he signed it over the weekend. So it passed in both houses, and then Trump did sign it. So we are going back to the same spending numbers that from the original omnibus bill from last year under Biden's final months. So we're gonna so the government is operational in the same capacity, because we really, really need to fund that military industrial complex. That MIC really needs its money with all its government contracts, all its subsidies for defense contractors, and I mean to bomb Yemen like they did over the weekend. So Trump, the anti-war president, everybody. But it really does seem like this is a psychological experiment in the realm. You can go look up the foreign policy apparatus and all the news with Trump and the bombing of Yemen and all that. Who cares? We're here to discuss from this video and in other news from past to present. This is happening now. And it does seem that there are certain natural disasters that are occurring that are at least uplifted because of certain experimental interventions, such as HARP or what have you. And so you have fires, you have humongous storms that are just, I mean, you just had a hurricane in the mountains last fall. You've had this recent flush of tornadic activity all this weekend from Friday night into Saturday night all over the region. Storms are getting heavy. Of course, the left would have you say that it's climate change, global warming. Is it a strategy by the world builders to actively commit towards a rebuilding process? As cities get destroyed, they can rebuild, almost like a nation building process, but not in that factor, not like Iraq or Afghanistan, but rebuilding in their own image, say a 15-minute city.
It's like you said in the video, you know, we've had this experiment before. They call it projects, and they failed horribly. So, I mean, I can see them as trying to pivot the language and try to spin the same yarn in a different way, just for political points. But I know that it's not a real solution. It's just, you know, running on hot air.
I don't think projects. I mean, the public housing apparatus I was born in the projects. I had to do that. I think the public housing idea of projects failed, but really it didn't fail in the terms that you're speaking of. All they did was outsource it privately through government funding, taxpayer funding to private contractors, developers, because we have ideas of projects in the works now and in the past, and that's your retirement communities and your retirement housing, your big buildings, or even your communities. I mean, a lot of retirement communities, they have what you need within the community. You have your activity center. You may even have a barber. You might have a restaurant, not just a cafeteria, but actual restaurant. You'll have your postal service, all in one general area, like what have you, right? So you have all of what you need to run your errands. You'll have a bank. I mean, yeah, in like a town square, right? Like the center of the subdivision. A lot of subdivisions are popping up like this. A lot of apartment complexes are like this. You have what you need in the complex right there, centerfold, right? And they could expand it even further. And then you have your housing, and you're not very far from the quote unquote city center to do all your business. So yeah. I'm speaking with my hands like I'm speaking with my hands. It's so great. It's very great. Speak with your hands, everyone. I am the president. I am the best president. I am here to save you. But do you think that that is another experiment in its own?
I mean, it's a revolving door. It's like I said, spinning, just respinning the same tale. It's communalism. I don't know how else I can put it. It's communism.
Oh,
it's just a softer touch of communism.
It really is. I mean, you get what you need, and I've seen that farmer short, and I think you have too. I think everybody else that is watching us probably has seen it already, that he showed at the end of the video. But you have what you need. You have the whole world out there, but the world is scary, and you have everything that you need in this general 15-minute city, or for the chickens in the hen house or on the farm. You get your water, you get your food, and it's all about production, right? You have that you need in one general place. You don't have to go far for it. You're not going to venture off anywhere. It's like it truly is a psychological experiment to treat human beings, a certain few, an elite core, as you would say, an aristocracy or oligarchy or government or whatever, experimenting psychologically, sociologically on human beings, being no different from livestock, no different from beef, no different from chickens, no different from sheep.
I mean, what else are you going to expect the government to do?
I mean, as long as you produce, you get what you need, you get what you obviously want. You don't need anything more. You are literally, as what's his face said, you are happy. You own nothing, but you are still happy because you have what you need. You can go for a walk. You can go work out.
I think Mises had a quote about that. I'll just see if I can find it real quick. Hold on just a second.
I believe he did. Yeah. So, but that's the dangers of this, because when you give yourself, when you outsource your own authority to other entities and other people, what do you expect they're going to do? They're going to try to control you in the manner of you being their resource, not the other way around.
This second, I got it right here. This second, I'll put it up on the screen for anybody that wants to actually read it and where the source. It's from his book Bureaucracy, but
good book, Bo. Another book that you should definitely read.
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Yeah. Bureaucracy, liberalism, and socialism are 3 must needs, everybody. So I'm giving y'all homework. Plutonium Files, if you can find it. And then Mises in general. The champions of socialism call themselves progressives, but they recommend a system which is characterized by rigid observance of routine and by a resistance of every kind of improvement. They call themselves liberals, but they are intent upon abolishing liberty. They call themselves Democrats, but they yearn for dictatorship. They call themselves revolutionaries, but they want to make the government omnipotent. They promise the blessings of the Garden of Eden, paradise on earth, but they plan to transform the world into a gigantic post office. Oh God, Lysander Spooner just cringed. Every man but one, a subordinate clerk in a bureau.
Yep.
And there you
That's
have
Mises for you.
Mises was a cosmopolitan. Yeah. He really was a man. He was a man beyond his time, in my opinion. So one last thing pertaining towards the fires that have began in Oklahoma. And the fact that there is a zoning ordinance for a new Google data center in Oklahoma to be built. I believe he said Stillwater. Why does Google need a data center, a large data center apparatus in the middle of Oklahoma? And is this potentially a clue to everybody to wake up and realize Google was always a CIA shell company? Are they just openly admitting it?
They are a power player, right? They have a lot of pull, a lot of influence, and they're not exactly, getting rid of they say they're going to get rid of all the surveillance and all that, but they're not really. I think I saw a tweet that was talking about that Ali was pointing out from Tulsi Gabbard, just saying that business is back as usual. So
yeah, something about the I don't know, taking care of all the leakers, and the whistleblowers or some shit like that. It's like it's all the same shit, people. And honestly, I hate to break it to you, but Tulsi Gabbard's a socialist. Don't I mean, that is a grifter right there. She got her place. She switched teams because the Democrats, she wasn't able to gain access to the power that she's always wanted, right? And so she switched teams, and now look at her. Really? I mean, it's right in front of your face. Now, I'm not saying that she's a Russia. No, that's a Democrat talking point for the political narrative to get you to continue to fight against each other. But she is an asset for something bigger. She's a socialist, and she's a gun-grabbing socialist. So with that, too.
Everyone's got a role to play.
Just like Robert F. Kennedy. Great talking point against the COVID regime. Great talking point. Climate apologist, gun grabbing, 15-minute city socialist. They're commies. They're all commies. Trump filled his. He's not draining the swamp. He's just fixing the swamp to his vision.
Yeah.
And in 4 years, you'll probably have a Democrat that'll fix the swamp again to their vision. Tit for tat.
Just undo all the different things that he did.
Exactly. It's just one big psyop. And to continue it off, Andrew, the final question, scrolling at the bottom, is everything a big psyop?
It's an IQ test.
That's a fair point. Nothing more. We're just gonna leave off of that. Short and sweet.
I think it's very narrow and very to the point. So
short, sweet. Like, subscribe, join the conversation, add a comment down below. We want to hear from you. What do you think about this? Are 15-minute cities real? Is the government manipulating the weather to destroy in order to
Am I bald?
their image? Is Andrew bald? That's the big question. That's the biggest psyop of them all. Is Andrew actually bald? But with that, that's Andrew Joseph.
Or am I?
I'm Zachary Kaiser. Enjoy and let's go. Peace out. Have a good day, everybody.
See ya.